I don't know.
Can I have a volunteer that can read? Got their spectacles with them if they need them? Anybody want to volunteer?
need no glasses.
No? No volunteers? All right, well, I'll do it then.
I'll
Okay,
try.
that one?
Okay,
All right.
good. Somebody's
Okay.
willing to.
I want you to just tell who's buried here?
John A. Bell.
Okay, now come over here and look at this.
Can't hear you.
John Bale. God, I'm breaking down.
John A. Bell.
No?
R. Bell.
John R. Bell.
Yeah.
What did it say on the other side? So John R. Bell on one side, John A. is because there's two people buried here. Now, can you read the epitaph? This one's kind of hard, so. No.
No murder hath eternal life abiding in him.
No murderer hath eternal life abiding in him. Okay, that's great. You did good. That's kind of an interesting epitaph. And the reason it says that is because these two men, father and son, died in a shootout downtown in Cahawba with everybody watching. It was John R. Bell and his two sons. One of them survived the shootout. And on the other side were in-laws, the Birds, Hunters, and Troys. One of these men was actually shot in the back. But the other side was exonerated in a court of law. And I think their mother and the wife didn't agree with that verdict, and that's why she put this thing about no murderer hath eternal life. She felt they were murderers. But doing the historical research, I think the townspeople were just fed up with the Bells. The Bells ran the big tavern in town. There was trouble. They were in the middle of it. The Methodist minister called the two sons the devil's most available instrument. And the reason he said that is because they would do things like during Sunday sermon, right outside the Methodist church door, they would bring one of their slaves and beat him outside the church, yeah. So they didn't fit in real well with the rest of the people in town. So that's the kind of people they were. And what led to this shootout was they had a slave by the name of Pleasant or Plez, and they put him up into stealing keys. You know, back in those days, they had those great big old keys, and you couldn't really put them on a keychain. They were too big. So when the merchants opened the doors, they'd leave the key in the lock. And they had Plez go around and pull that key out when no one was looking, bring it back to him, and then a few days later, they would let themselves in, steal everything out of the store or the home, and then sometimes commit arson to cover up the fact that they had been there. But the townspeople were catching on, and that's what led to this disagreement and shootout in the streets. So that's the history behind it. Now the rest of what I want to tell you is my personal ghost story, sort of. I'm a historical archaeologist. I'm kind of a scientist, so I don't want to believe in any of this. But when something happens, you really have to think twice about it. What happened to me was back in the 1980s when I first came here. Edie, you remember when I showed up here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think you might have had something to do with this, now that I think about it. It was a paranormal team from Tennessee. And this is before, you know, now there's all these paranormal shows. Have any of you seen them on TV?
Yeah.
You know, we all know about that. But back in the 80s, we really hadn't heard about these people. So I was a little suspicious. So I wasn't about to let them down here by themselves. So I came out here and stayed with them all night to keep an eye on them. Because I just didn't know. So what they were doing was what we now all know is called EVPs. Or I guess, do you all know what EVP is?
Electronic
EVP?
voice phenomena.
Exactly. And that means what? You play this tape recorder, and then when you play it back, you get voices on the tape. You didn't hear them, but they're on the tape, right? They're supposedly from the spirits. Now, way back, probably before you were even around, in the 1980s, we didn't have digital recorders. We had reel-to-reel. There was actual tape. And so usually when they would ask a question, they'd play it back. The spirit would always answer, yes, which to me sounded suspiciously like the hissing of the tape going around in a tape recorder. So I wasn't going there with them. So I walked over to the other side of the graveyard, and I looked back, and there were 3 of them doing EVPs right here, and they were getting real agitated. And they started yelling for me. And they said, Linda, we got a good one. What does donkey mean? Donkey? I don't know. You need a lot of mules in town. They needed donkeys to make mules. Let me hear it. So they played the tape recorder. And this time it was a very distinct voice on it. but it didn't say donkey. What it said was, very distinctly, 2 words, Don, space, key. D-O-N. Now, who's Don? Don is my maintenance supervisor who hears people talking to him down here all the time. So that kind of made sense. Maybe they wanted to talk to Don. Where's Don, you know, or Bud? Key made sense because what was Plez? What were these two making this Plez do? Steal the key. So that made sense. But the 2 together made absolutely no sense. So I just put it out of my mind, went back, had a couple hours of sleep, came back to work. I was supposed to meet Don. I'm waiting for Don. Here comes Don in his car. He steps out of his car. He's looking at the ground like he is right now, looking kind of sheepish. I said, Don, what is wrong?
Lost my keys.
What would you think? Well, my first thought was, maybe it was warning me. And I should have called Don and said, Don, you look for your keys. But after I thought a little bit longer, wouldn't you start to think, well, maybe they weren't a nice spirit? And maybe they took his Don keys? I don't know, that's what I thought. So I was starting to tell Don, because he had no idea what I had been up to the night before. And I said, Don, we started thinking about it. And I thought, wouldn't it be creepy if we came up to the cemetery and we walked over to the Bell Monument?
And see if my keys were there.
Yeah, so that's what we did. Just like you did. We walked up here, came around that corner, looked at this, and guess what?
Wow.
His keys were there.
No, they weren't. I set you up for that one.
I knew you did.
Yeah, but you played well, so well, thank you.
Right.
Well, but that's not the end of the story. Because now we're sitting there figuring out how much it's going to cost us to rekey all these locks down here. And here come some horseback riders. They had Don's keys. So he said, where did you get Don's keys? Where do you think they got Don's keys? Here's your cue.
Somewhere.
Somewhere where he wasn't.
Well, exactly. They
Yeah.
were not here. You know where they were? Okay. In the antebellum years, things were very segregated. So here on the south end of town was the white cemetery. Here at the northern end of town was the slave cemetery, where Plez was buried. That's where Don's keys were found.
Wow.
Now, don't you want to ask Don if he was in that cemetery the day before?
He wasn't.
Don?
Sure wasn't.
No, he wasn't. So I can't explain it. Coincidence, but you know, how did his keys get there? I don't know. So that's my ghost story.